Welcome back. And it's almost anticlimactic, isn't it? So, the middle of last week, I made this video here about mental Mike Norman and his ridiculous Fed slash Powell, Power, now corrected, Powell trades, and how it didn't matter. I was suggesting in this video it didn't matter what happened with the Fed and what Powell would say. He would say he nailed it. And fast forward a couple days after this video, Powell did exactly what I said. Imagine that. I bet you none of you could have guessed he was going to do yet another I told you so video. Yes, of course you did. So you have to ask yourself, and that's what this video is for. You have to ask yourself, what is this guy's motivation? What is his real root motivation for his channel and what he's doing? Now, you might incorrectly believe that is to make money using his, Magic Mike Norman trading principles, using MMT. Regardless of what you think of MMT, what you have to understand at this point is it is no magic bullet. There's no genie in that bottle. And there's nothing Mike has ever done to prove that, although he's right all the time. So what is the real objective of Magic Mike here? Mental Mike, Moron Mike trading. What's the deal? Why does his channel exist? Well, he would claim making money using MMT principles. I suggest he's a lonely old man that's lived alone so long he needs your accolades and pats on the back, and he's doing this for his glory. See what I know. Let me help you. This is what I know. I'm going to teach you this as long as you keep patting me on the back. Because again, remember, this guy's due to walk away from his channel again, or at least cry about it. I don't think it would be that far off, but who knows? And I suggest to you it's not about making money because of this situation. And by the way, this situation happens a few times a month with this guy if you're paying attention. So if he called it, if he knew, he did exactly what I said. If your objective was to make money, why is it Mike Norman lost on this call that he got right, lost the maximum amount of money he could have in this interest rate trade? Now, does that sound like a guy whose primary purpose is to make money and he knew what was going to happen and he knew how things were going to go? How is it you can know all these things and yet lose the maximum amount of money possible in that interest rate trade? And I say that because did he come out and say he was trimming his long bond position or cutting it entirely? Because remember, he knew how this was going to go, right? He's smiling. He made the video, Powell did exactly what I said. Did he do any of those things? No, he held it. So this begs the question, what is the point? This guy didn't help you save a cent on something he's now claiming he called. And all he has to do is look at his account. His long treasury trade, went backwards. Actually, it's backed up quite a bit since then as well. But even here, backing up, I would say every hour since Powell came out and they did the quarter point cut, which most people expected, and then the press conference. So I suggest to you, this guy can't make you any money because he can't even save himself money, even when he claims he's right. So if being right means losing the maximum amount of money on your trade, I simply ask you, what's the point? What's the point? And if you watched that presser with Powell after the decision was made public, the rate decision was made public, Powell was asked, and they're referencing the dot plot where individual Fed board voting members, who was saying let's do the quarter point cut, who was saying let's hold, who was saying let's do a half point cut, that type of thing. And then they just add up the numbers and see where it is, and they go on this dot plot. And you look at the dot plot and you notice there's one extreme outlier, like basically 3.5 cuts is what one Fed member wanted this time. And those of you keeping up with the news will recognize immediately who that clown was, because I don't think there's ever been a Fed member when everyone is between 0.5 a point, which is, let's face it, when you're cutting, 0.5 cut is where everyone's going to be. And then you get this one ridiculous retard, Stephen Moran or something, yes, a Trump appointee, to the Fed. So if you think Trump is done fucking up America from front to back, well, obviously not the case, because here he goes injecting his personal pick. By the way, a boot in both camps. This Moran clown who called for 3.5 cuts worth, the major outlier. How did that all of a sudden accidentally happen, since something like that has never happened before? Well, because he's a political hack. Now he's on the Fed board, the Board of Governors, and he still holds a position in Trump's government. So you've got a Federal Reserve whose goal is to be non-political. That is like a cornerstone of the Fed, being non-political. Don't bend to the leanings, the wantings of the current government in power. Just not political. Powell is a professional. He's constantly asked about stuff like this, and he just avoids it. He says, I'm not going to talk about it. And they obviously asked him, what's going on with the dot plot? What's going on with this outlier? And, everyone is drawing the proper conclusion that, is Trump going to fuck this shit up too? Well, he's starting. He's trying. How can you remain independent when you've got an asshat now that's now part of the Board of Governors? And is this going to compromise the Fed? Well, I guess eventually, as long as you keep appointing people to the Board of Governors, you're going to eventually corrupt it, and it's going to look like the Supreme Court, where you've got justice and the law completely politically corrupted. And that took a while. And this is the first step in the wrong direction for the Fed. Now, fortunately, Trump's got a maximum of 3 years left. Hopefully less. Hopefully much less. I'd be fine by next Friday. But until that happens, he's going to continue to corrupt and pollute everything. Oh, and by the way, this is your asshat right here that's calling Powell corrupt and doesn't see the fucking clown show that is Trump, that he voted for twice and still rooting for after all this mess. What a fucking fool. This is your typical dumb fuck American right here. Beyond hope, really, because there's more than enough evidence. If this guy was at all evidence-based and had any logic running in his mind, he would have seen through Trump. 2016. But I digress. So the Fed is asked, Powell is asked, what are we going to do with this? And he said, well, listen, everyone, and I made this point in the previous video, and it's something that Normie here doesn't seem to want to accept. Everyone gets a vote on the board. So the only way that Trump appointees are going to fuck shit up is if they convince the other board members, or he gets enough of his cronies in there, his fucking fools. That's all he's ever done, is appoint just fucking illiterate fools, people unfit for purpose. And he's starting with the Board of Governors right now in the Federal Reserve. It's starting. And you can see the guy's vote. 3.5 freaking points out, or 3.5 rate cuts out. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. So Powell, being the non-political type, said, listen, the only way that that's going to make any dent in what ultimately happens is if he's convincing all the other votes to vote the same way. And I made that point before. All this focus on Powell, when you've got equal votes, a dozen more, it's just one guy's not going to do anything. And it's the same for this Stephen Moran fucking fool. Well, one vote just makes America look even more of a fucking joke, because you can see Trump appointed him and he's just fucking offside, completely offside, clueless. Why? Because he's a political hack. He's not the serious people that are on the Board of Governors, including Powell. So I just wanted to point that out. The only fucking fool on the that's got a vote now is Trump's recent appointee. He screamed to the world, I'm a fucking idiot, way outside the dot plot. Everyone else on board, because they're responsible people, they're serious people. And you're not going to bait anyone that's a voting member to say anything negative about this, because they won't. They're remaining apolitical. Cash Carey was on CNBC the day after, I believe. Same thing. They got to ask him, because then he can just, that's how it goes. We've got multiple votes. That was one vote. Everyone's just stopping short of, calling this situation what it is. Trump is a fucking clown, fucking shit up, putting totally unqualified people in places where they should have never seen. Most of Trump's appointees, they're operating at a level that, give them a shovel and tell them to dig a ditch. From RFK up and down the fucking ladder. Having them anywhere near responsibility driven positions is just ridiculous. So again, I digress. Let's come back to the point. If this guy knew it, if he called it, why? Go ask him this, please. And by the way, remind him any day now, I am ready to trade my algo against this guy. I mean, he's right all the time. He should mop the floor with me. And although I request at least a year, he won't need a year. He'll mop the floor with me because he's never wrong, right? No stops. Stops are for losers and all this other brilliant ideas. That's what 40 years of being in the market. Now, I'll tell you what, that's 40 years living alone in a fucking closet with an American flag posted on every wall. Why? I don't know. Fucking American. It's just typical. He fits the mold perfectly. So how is it he calls everything and loses the maximum amount of money? That's what I want to know. Put your comments down below. Remember, go on his latest video. Remind him that I've got an open trade offer. My little bullshit algos against this guy's 40 years of experience, calling it all right. And ask yourself, when you're supporting this guy, what are you really doing? Is he helping you, or is it just he needs pats on the back, he needs the accolades because he's fucking weak-minded? He's a weak-minded, old, just childish man. It's just fucking sad. So this is how you lose maximum funds in style, right here. We'll talk to you soon.